There is a person you have met maybe once, maybe only briefly, who you have never quite been able to forget. You are not sure what it was. It wasn't that they were the most attractive person in the room. It wasn't that they said the most intelligent things or held the most impressive title. It was something underneath all of that. Something that moved before they did. Something that arrived in the room before their words did. You found yourself watching them, not because you decided to, because you couldn't not. And when they looked at you, really looked at you, something happened in your chest that you didn't have a name for. You felt simultaneously seen and exposed, known and unknown, as if they had read a page inside you that you hadn't finished writing yet. That person was operating from something most people will never learn to access. Not charisma as the world has defined it, not the loud, performative, light-up-through energy that the internet sells in 7 steps. What they had was older than that, quieter than that, and far, far more dangerous than that. This is the Charisma Codex, and by the time it's over, you will understand exactly what that person was doing, and exactly how to become the one they can't stop thinking about. Before we go any further, we need to dismantle the lie you've been told about charisma. You were told it was a personality type, that some people are born with it and most people are not. You were told it was confidence, that posture and eye contact and speaking with volume would produce it. You were sold workshops and voice coaches and presence training designed to make you perform an emotion you were supposed to already be feeling. None of that is charisma. All of that is costume. Real charisma, the kind that makes people turn toward you before you've said a word, the kind that lingers in the mind hours after you've left, is not a performance. It is not a skill set. It is not even a personality. It is a frequency. And the people who carry it are not broadcasting louder than everyone else. They are broadcasting on a channel that most people's nervous systems have never been tuned to receive. Charisma, in its deepest form, is the felt experience of being completely, unconditionally witnessed by someone who is not afraid of what they see. It is the opposite of performance. It is the end of performance. And the reason it is so rare, the reason you remember it so vividly when you encounter it, is because most humans spend their entire lives performing. And when they suddenly encounter someone who isn't, the contrast is staggering. You don't become magnetic by adding more. You become magnetic by removing the performance and learning to operate from what's underneath it. Let's go inside the mechanism. When you are in the presence of someone with genuine charismatic pull, your nervous system responds before your cognition catches up. You are not deciding to find them compelling. Your body is already in a state of elevated attention, heart rate slightly elevated, sensory awareness heightened, an almost imperceptible orientation toward them, the way a plant angles toward light without having a brain to instruct it. This happens because of a phenomenon behavioral scientists call social resonance. Human nervous systems are constantly scanning the environment for signals of safety, threat, and significance. Most people broadcast a cocktail of low-level anxiety, the performed confidence, the strategic friendliness, the barely suppressed need for approval. And your nervous system recognizes this immediately and categorizes them as ordinary, unremarkable, safe to ignore. But the charismatic person broadcasts something different. Their nervous system is regulated, not controlled, regulated. There is a distinction that matters enormously here. Controlled people are suppressing. Regulated people have genuinely settled. And the human body, which has been reading nervous system signals since before language existed, knows the difference instantly. What you feel in the presence of a truly magnetic person is your own nervous system relaxing into attunement. You are not just attracted to them, you are being regulated by them. They have become an anchor, and every living thing, at the level of biology, moves toward anchors. This is why you can't stop thinking about them. It isn't infatuation. It isn't even admiration. It is your nervous system trying to return to a state it briefly experienced in their presence, and finding that state inaccessible without them. There are 5 properties that every person with genuine magnetic presence shares, not personality traits. Properties: observable, trainable, transferable patterns of behavior that produce the felt experience of charisma in the people around them. The first is deep stillness, not physical stillness, though that is often present, psychological stillness. The person who is genuinely compelling does not fidget with their own importance. They do not scan the room for validations. They do not perform listening. They listen completely with the full weight of their attention. And in a world where almost no one receives full, unhurried, unperformed attention, this act alone is staggering. People feel it as intimacy, as being chosen, as mattering. The second is selective revelation. Magnetic people do not tell you everything. They do not explain themselves fully. There is always something just behind the surface, something withheld, not out of strategy, but out of a genuine relationship with their own interior that they have decided you have not yet earned. This creates a gravitational pull. The mind is a pattern completion engine. Incompleteness draws it forward. You cannot stop thinking about someone who still has something left to show you. The third is precise attention. They do not look at you. They see you. There is a difference that the body registers immediately. When someone looks at you, their eyes are pointed in your direction. When someone sees you, really sees you, something shifts in their entire orientation. Their attention has weight. It lands differently. And most people are so starved for that kind of attention that when they receive it, even briefly, it registers as an event, as a before and after. The fourth is emotional authority. They do not react from the surface. They respond from the interior. When something provocative enters the conversation, they do not flinch. They do not perform stoicism. They simply have more time than everyone else, a half-second of interior stillness before they engage. And in that half-second, they are choosing their response rather than delivering their reaction. This is what the world calls composure, but it is more than composure. It is proof of depth, and depth in a shallow world is irresistible. The fifth is implication over declaration. They do not tell you how to feel about them. They create conditions in which you arrive at a feeling on your own, and then believe it was your idea. They do not announce their intelligence. They ask questions that make you aware of how rarely you've been asked to think at this level. They do not declare their warmth. They create an atmosphere in which warmth is the only appropriate response. They architect the experience. You inhabit it. And what you build in that space, what you feel, what you decide, you will attribute entirely to yourself. Here is something no one who teaches charisma will tell you. The same properties that make a person magnetic also make them dangerous. And the most compelling people, the ones who have genuinely mastered this frequency, are fully aware of both edges of what they carry. Selective revelation, when weaponized, becomes strategic, withholding the deliberate creation of emotional dependency through incompleteness. Precise attention, when deployed without genuine care, becomes targeting the pinpoint identification of a person's need for witness. activated for manipulation rather than connection. Implication over declaration, at its darkest, is covert framing, shaping another person's reality without their awareness or consent, leading them to conclusions they believe are their own. The line between magnetic and dangerous is not technique. The technique is identical. The line is intent, and beneath intent, integrity. Whether the person wielding these properties is doing so in service of genuine connection or in service of control. And the reason you need to understand both sides is not to choose which side to be on. It is to be able to read which side you are on the receiving end of. Because the most elegant manipulation does not announce itself. It arrives as warmth. It arrives as understanding. It arrives as the rare, almost unbearable feeling of being completely seen. If someone makes you feel that way too quickly, with too much precision, if the intimacy feels architecturally perfect rather than organically arrived at, you are not being witnessed, you are being worked. The Charismatic Codex, at its most advanced, is a dual-use system. Know which channel you're transmitting on. Now let's talk about what this actually looks like in practice, because this is not theory. These are transferable properties. They can be cultivated, and the cultivation begins not with technique, but with a single foundational shift. Stop trying to be interesting. Start becoming interested. The deepest error most people make when they try to develop presence is that they try to manufacture something to project outward. They try to construct the impression of depth. But genuine magnetic presence does not emanate from projection. It emanates from absorption, from a quality of attention that is so complete, so unhurried, and so genuinely curious that the person in its presence cannot help but feel significant. The practice begins with your relationship to silence. Most people treat silence as a void to be filled, a social failure to be corrected as quickly as possible. The magnetic person treats silence as a medium, as the substance in which meaning lives. They allow it, they inhabit it. And in doing so, they force everyone around them to inhabit it too, which means everyone around them is suddenly operating at a depth they rarely access. The practice continues with your relationship to your own interiority. The most compelling people have a rich, populated interior life, and they carry it with them into every interaction without spilling it. They are not performing mystery. They are genuinely inhabited, and the body communicates this in 1,000 signals too small to inventory but impossible to miss. A quality of gaze that is slightly inward even when outward facing. A way of choosing words as if they are actually selecting them rather than producing them reflexively. A relationship to their own reactions that suggests they have already met themselves. And the practice ends always with a return to the first principle, the willingness to fully witness another person without an agenda, not to fix them, or impress them, or secure them, or consume them, simply to see them, completely, without flinching, and let them know, in the quality of your attention alone, that they have been seen. That is the whole Codex. Every other element is an elaboration of that one act. Here is what you now understand that most people don't. The person you cannot stop thinking about was not trying to be unforgettable. That is exactly what made them unforgettable. They were simply operating from a frequency that the rest of the world has been too distracted, too performed, and too anxious to access. And in your encounter with them, your own nervous system remembered briefly what it felt like to be in the presence of something real. That memory is not about them, it is about you. It is your nervous system showing you the state it has been trying to return to your entire life. The state of being genuinely seen. The state of genuine presence. The state beneath all the performance and strategy and identity construction of something true. You can become that person, not by learning to project it, by learning to stop projecting anything at all, and standing quietly in the full weight of what you actually are. The Codex is not a set of techniques. It is a form of undressing, layer by layer, until what remains is so present, so unperformed, so genuinely inhabited, that other people's nervous systems have no choice but to orient toward you. Not because you demanded it, because they couldn't not.